Amen?
Amen.
It's good to be back. When Jonathan called me, or messaged me rather, about coming back to preach, I thought that maybe he just got his dates confused because I just preached here like a week before he messaged me. And it's actually very interesting because at that time when he messaged me, I was actually on this YouTube channel that Jonathan runs. I don't know if you know that Jonathan runs his own YouTube channel. Both of us went to an evangelism school called Peace, which stands for Practical Evangelism and Adventist Christian Education. John actually went 2 years before I did. We were there for 4 months and we learned a lot, especially about evangelism, not just how to, but why. And this is like the fourth, maybe the third or fourth time that I've preached here within a year. And I was thinking, I've preached in my own church, Chiswick, about 3 or 4 times since I've been baptized, which is like 3.5 years. I'm not bitter about that or anything like that. But the reason that I was saying that is because a lot of people at my own church don't understand the extent of work that God has given me to do. And I was wondering if maybe it's the same here with John. Because when I look at his ministry is quite astounding. Over 1 million people, right? Over 1 million people have watched his YouTube channel. Did you know that? Over 1 million.
No, we didn't know.
Do you know how long it would take you to count to 1 million? A long time. A long time. And so I just want to encourage you to speak to your members. Speak to the people that you sit next to. Speak to the people that maybe you haven't seen in a few weeks and find out what do they do for God. More importantly, find out what has God done for them. Amen? Amen. How many of you have heard of Alexander the Great? Show of hands. A fair amount of you. I was reading only this week. After, I think it was in AD 331, he had conquered almost the whole world by this point. He comes to one place that's left. We know it as India. And there's these massive walls. Massive walls. And the chief ruler at this time is just behind the walls and he sees Alexander approaching the walls with 100 men. How many? 100 men. And Alexander comes up to the wall and he shouts over, he says, surrender. If you don't surrender, we're going to wipe you all out. The Indian ruler looks over the wall and looks at Alexander and he has 100 men and he says, impossible. No way. Do you know how many men are behind this wall? Alexander didn't answer, for he knew that there were many. He simply looked at his soldiers and gave them one command, and they stood straight. No flinching, no moving, they just stood. He pointed towards the edge of a cliff and said, march. They marched. The first one dropped off the edge of the cliff, dead. Second one, dead. Third, fourth, they just marched. They didn't look. The person that was behind the next person to fall knew that that would be death, but they walked. And they marched straight off the edge of the cliff. And by the time it came to the 7th person, the Indian chief behind the gate said, okay, you win. You win. We surrender. Because if your people are willing to do that for you, I don't want to see what they're willing to do if they get behind these walls. You win. Do you know why they marched off the edge of the cliff? Anyone know why? Because they were told. Very simple command. They respected their leader. They feared with reverence their leader. And so they just done what they were told, even though they knew it was going to lead to death. None of them turned around to question, are you sure they just done it? And so when Jonathan contacted me and said, the theme is why evangelism, I kind of chuckled. Because I thought, oh, this is going to be a short sermon. Why evangelism? Because Jesus said so. It's not that simple. Because if it was that simple, it would be our lives. Long gone are the days when we used to do things just because God told us to do them. Now we have to have campaigns and revivals. We have to get preachers and pastors and elders and deacons to come up here, even members to come up and just motivate us to do the thing that God has been telling us to do for years. So as simple as just, hey, let's evangelize. Now we need reasons. Today's message is called Fools Fold Their Hands, Angels Fold Their Wings. Fools fold their hands, angels fold their wings. Let's just pray that God will speak to us. Father in heaven, at this time we desire to hear a word from you. Not a word from me, not a word from nobody else. We need your word to kickstart us into action. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Who knows what book in the Bible doesn't end? You guys are looking at me like I've gone crazy. What book in the Bible doesn't end? Someone says Revelation. Very good answer, but not the one I'm looking for. What book in the Bible just doesn't have an ending? John, kind of does. Close though. What book in the Bible does not have like a real ending? Jonah. Good answer. What was that? I heard it at the back somewhere. Acts of the Apostles. The book of Acts does not have a definitive end. Chapter 28 is simply the last chapter that was recorded in Scripture about the book of Acts. The book of Acts is about people that do things for Jesus. And so even now, outside of our walls, within our very city, Acts chapter 29, chapter 30 and 31 and 32 are being written even now. One of my friends once told me that there's a reason why the Gospels come first and then Acts. Obviously there's a logical reason, but he says first of all in the Gospels you meet Jesus and then in Acts you do something about it. Can you say amen? Amen. In the Gospels you meet Jesus and then in Acts you do something about it. The Bible, when you think about it, is written in the most amazing form. When you think of the first two chapters of the Bible, what's the first book? Genesis. So Genesis 1 and 2 are basically about God creating and filling the earth, right? Amen? The final two chapters, what's the final book? Revelation, come on. So the final two chapters of the final book in the Bible, Revelation, are about God creating and filling the new earth. Yeah? Chapter 3, the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter 3, is about how sin came in. And the third last chapter is about how sin goes out. And everything in between those two parts is about taking man from one place to the other. Are you with me? About taking man from his sinful state and from a sinful world and delivering him to perfection, to heaven, to everlasting peace. Amen? But you will search in vain in the book of Acts to find where the disciples had a meeting about evangelism. You won't find any time when they got together to talk about what they were going to preach. When they met in the upper room, they simply sorted out the differences that they had amongst one another and prayed to receive the Holy Spirit. But never would they come together and discuss, how is it that we're going to reach the people? Because they acted. They done things. They waited for the Spirit. And when they know that they received the Spirit, they just went out. It was almost involuntary. They just acted. Many of us would say that we're not called to preach. How many of you would say that you're not called to preach? You can put your hand up. Put your hand up. My wife there at the back has put her hand up. I would say, and we can speak about this when we get home. I would say that everybody is called to preach. Everybody is called to preach. Everyone is called to be an evangelist. Would you agree? Yes. In the sense that we may not preach sermons from this pulpit, but we all have a pulpit. And we all preach some sort of gospel. Whether we choose to or not, we are actively preaching. And every single thing that we do in our life, it's like we just walk around with a pulpit attached to our chest microphone just stuck to the top of our head, and people are just there watching and listening to your sermon. Regardless of what you preach. And they don't know that most of the time your sermons are unbiblical. So they just assume that what you're preaching is God. All of us are called to preach. Some of us even called to preach here. Sometimes I say, we haven't got the gift. God didn't give me the gift of preaching. Well, He gave you a mouth. You let Him worry about the gift, amen? You don't decide. Sorry. You don't decide whether you're called to preach or not. Moses didn't really like the calling. Sorry. This is what I'm doing, and there's a reason why I'm doing it. God speaking to Moses. And we're going to look at that reason today. Peter and Jesus had the most interesting conversation. It was our scripture reading. They have a conversation about ministry. A conversation about ministry. Now we know that Peter denied Jesus how many times? 3 times. He denied Jesus 3 times. He was asked 3 times, does he know this man? And even on the 3rd time he went as far as what? Swearing that he didn't know. Uttering out vicious expletives. I don't know this man. 3 times then Jesus asked him, do you love me? Almost to counteract the amount of time that he's denied him. But it's very interesting. Very interesting. The way that he asked him. The conversation that we read is very interesting for a number of reasons. It was speaking in Greek. It was the language of the time. And the Greek had 3 main words for love. 3 main words. The first one is eros. E-R-O-S. And that's where we get our word for erotic. Now when we think of erotic, normally negative connotations kind of come up. And there's all of these bad things associated with eroticism, right? Would you agree? In the Greek, that's not the case. In the Greek, the word is talking about a physical kind of love. So food. Food would be an eros kind of love. If you love food, you would love it physically, eros. The same way you would love your wife or your husband physically. It's the same word that would be used. Are we together? Are we together? Okay. The second word is phileo. You know, we have Philadelphia. That's it, Philadelphia. Thank you. Philadelphia is the city of what? Where have you guys been? The city of brotherly love, right? Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. The philo comes from the fact that word for love means a kind of human bondedness kind of thing, like a human relationship kind of love. Human to human. The way that you would love your friend, the way you would love your parents, the way even that you would love your spouse would be phileo, a physical kind of love. And the third one would be probably the most famous, agape. Agape love. And agape is a divine, selfless kind of love. It's a love from heaven. It's a love that God has for us, and I'm sure it's the love that we all desire. And desire also to give to God. So when Jesus comes to Peter, after they had died, and he says, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? He says, Peter, do you agape me? That's the word that's used that time. You agape me. Do you love me with a divine, selfless love, Peter? Peter looks at him and says, Lord, you know that I love you. But he doesn't say agape, because Peter would never say, Lord, I agape you, because Peter knows that he doesn't love Jesus with this selfless, divine kind of love. So Peter says, Lord, you know that I phileo you. You know that I love you in the way that I can. I love you with my human love. I love you with all that I can give you. I love you with my humanity, with my corruptible love. I love you with that. Interesting when we go to the 3rd time that Jesus asks, Peter, do you love me? Jesus this time says, Peter, do you phileo me? And that's when Peter is, as it says, almost aggrieved. Because Jesus has asked him a 3rd time now. But this time it's a bit different. Peter was saying, yes, I love you with this human love. I love you with this human. So Jesus, do you? love me with that human love that you claim? He says, yes, you know that I do. I do. And Jesus does know that. Jesus knows that Peter loves him, but only in a human kind of way. Peter loves him with all of his corrupt channels, but he loves him in the only way that he kind of knows how. Do you know what Jesus says? Feed my sheep. Even with your corrupted love, feed my sheep. Even though you don't love me the way that I love you, and even though you don't love me in the way that I wish you loved me, just feed my sheep if you love me. What's the qualification for evangelism? I like the silence, because the silence tells me that you're thinking. Willingness, Holy Spirit, love. Love. Jesus doesn't say, hey, Peter, do you know how to preach? Feed my lambs. Preacher, can you sing a special item a cappella? Feed my sheep. Peter, are you rich? Feed my lambs. Have you been trained? Feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Because if you love me, then you are qualified to tell other people about me. Do you actually love me, Peter? Yes, then feed them. It's a condition of love. It's a qualification, but it's also a condition. If you do love me, then you will be feeding. Many of us think we love Jesus. Many of us say, Jesus, I love you. I come to church on Sabbath for you. I wear nice suits, flowery little bow ties. I love you, Jesus. But we don't really share anything about it. Undercover Christians. So we don't really love him the way we should. We might claim to have some sort of filial feeling for him, but we don't love him the way he's asked us to love him. Notice that he says, not just feed my sheep, but in John chapter 10 he lets them know, other sheep I have that are not of this fold. Not just about feeding Adventists. How many of you guys have ever tried to feed a hungry baby? It's not that hard. Their mouth is open wider than ever before. As soon as the food goes in, they don't bother to chew it and swallow it down. You get to hold on to the spoon. Feeding hungry babies is not hard. How many of you have tried to feed a baby who's tightened his mouth so close, who's almost biting on his own lips, and he's forcing, he locked his jaw almost? How many of you ever tried to feed someone like that? Not easy. Other sheep I have, but feed them. In other words, Jesus saying, it's possible for them to be fed. Are you with me? It's possible for even this gospel to get through their hardened hearts. Sometimes it's hard to witness. Yes, it's as hard as our hearts. That's how hard it is to witness. As hard as our hearts are. Really, really hard. And we might think, hey, but it can't, the qualification can't just be love. Because Peter didn't just love Jesus, but he was with Jesus for 3 years. And Jesus taught him things for 3 years. That might be a good argument. And then when we look at the woman at the well, who doesn't know Jesus at all, who's culturally separated from Jesus, and all she does is meet Jesus, and in a very short space of time, after one conversation, she runs into the city, and she becomes another evangelist, and she says, come and see a man. Oh, yeah. That's her sermon. She doesn't go to introit, she doesn't go to scripture reading, or an appeal. She says, hey, come and meet this guy. Yes. Evangelism. Doesn't really know anything about Jesus, but she's found someone that she loves, and someone that loves her in a divinely selfless way. She wants to share that. So she does. Her whole sermon, come and see a man. Sometimes I think it's the shortest sermons that are the best. Come and see a man. Okay, I'll come. Gideon, you remember Gideon? 32,000 soldiers. 32,000. He looks at them, says, if you're scared, get out. If you're afraid, go home. That's his sermon. 22,000 people leave. I think sometimes we're afraid to preach certain sermons. Sometimes we're afraid to give the whole truth. Sometimes we're afraid to give exactly what God wants us to give. I don't know about you guys, but I hate diluted juice. Hate it. It's the worst thing ever. I don't know if you guys have made it in the kitchen today, but it's the worst thing. Because it's like, it's not really juice, and it's not really water. And I love juice, and I love water. When you put them together, it's like, Like I love ice cream, I love ketchup, but you don't, ketchup on the ice cream doesn't work. Are you with me? Are you with me? So Peter, amalgamation. Peter says this, Paul says this, Romans chapter 10, if you have your Bibles. Romans chapter 10. Just after the book of Acts, you'll find Romans chapter 10. Very famous passage. Romans chapter 10 says this. From verse 13. Is the condition to be saved. The condition to share is love. The condition to be saved is this. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Amen? Amen. Simple as that. Then it says this. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him who they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? Paul breaks it down. Cycle of evangelism right there. There's people that just need to call upon the name of the Lord to be saved. But they can't call on someone they don't believe in. Yeah. So first of all, to call on that person, belief is required. Are you with me? Yeah. But how are they going to get that belief if nobody tells them what they're meant to believe? And how is someone going to tell them unless they've been sent? Paul isn't making case for that no one has been sent. He's making case that everybody has been sent. He says everyone that comes into contact with the Savior should love him. And therefore you have been sent. That's why he says, how beautiful are the feet of those that preach the gospel of good tidings. It doesn't say it's the most eloquent people that are going to preach the word. He says feet. He said your feet are going to preach. Your feet are going to preach. In other words, your life, where you go, the things you do, that's the gospel that Paul is asking you to share. Whatever other gifts God gives you to share his word, you use them also. But you can't say you don't have feet. And if you don't have feet, then find someone that doesn't. Work together, amen? I believe that the world needs the gospel. I know they don't want it, but they need it. And in that situation where sometimes there's something you want, you don't get it. With God, you pray for these things that you want, you don't get it. But God is never late to give you the things that you need. In the same sense, the world doesn't want to know about God. Romans 3 clarifies that straight. It says, no one in the world seeks after God. No one wants to know him. But they need to know him. I was watching Question Time this week. I don't normally watch the program, but I was watching it on the BBC iPlayer because I was quite interested, because they had this man called Piers Morgan and another man called Joey Barton, and these guys have a very hostile relationship. So I was interested to see how would this play out on television. Now a topic came up where there's records, some of you might have seen on the news, there's records of the conversation that took place between George Bush and Tony Blair about the war in Iraq. And the public are saying, we deserve to know the whole truth about what has been said. And the government are saying, we'll just give you the excerpts of the conversation. We'll just give you, the general gist of what they were talking about. We're like, no. We want to see everything that was said. We want to know for the truth, because they're saying that the war was probably an illegal one. When they went into the war, they broke their own laws going into this war, and so it looks like the government's trying to hush it up. And so the majority of the public are saying, we want to see it. We want to know what was said. And they made me think. The reason that they want to know what was said is because they have seen the effects of what has taken place. Yes. I'm telling you now, if we were doing the job that God has put us here to do, people would want to know who God is. A special light, we heard this morning, a special light has been given to this church to go out into the world and share the three angels' messages. You know what Ellen White says? She says this. She says, if a true revival, I'm paraphrasing, if a true revival took place in our church, persecution would come knocking. It would come back. You want to know why people aren't being slain the way they were? Because there's no Christians like there was. When we start fully living the gospel that Jesus has told us about, then persecution will come knocking again. And the faithful ones will stand there and cry, persecute me then for my sake. Persecute me for the things that I believe in. I've been reading on the news about some lady that is currently on death row. Have you heard the stories? Just because she married a Christian man. She was never a Muslim in the first place. But they just said, because your father was Muslim, that is your religion. They handcuffed her to the floor and she delivered her child. In jail. Said that she can live for the next 2 years to look after her child. The father can come and visit for 20 minutes a week and then she's going to die. You know why? Because she stood up and she acted in a place where people don't normally do that. And in a state of political correctness in this country, some of us need to make a stand. If we want to see things happen, if we want to see the gospel lived in the lives of others, then first we must surely live it ourselves. She took a stand. And I believe that the world wants to know. Somewhere down there they want to know. And it's our duty to tell them. And we've heard this so many times. This isn't new light. We've heard this so many times. And for one reason or another, it just hasn't given us that little jump that we need. But there's so many signs out there for us to watch. Why don't people know why so many natural disasters are happening? Scientists sit there and say, you know, it's the crust of the earth moving around much more frequently than it used to in the past. Well, why then? Why the tornadoes? Why the earthquakes? Why the hurricanes? Why even the mass killings in the States? Why are these things taking place? People want to know, and they're asking the question, but they're not asking the church. They're asking the government. Because the church has never really provided them with answers in the past. They box us into their own little box of fake religion, where they just assume that we're all Catholics. Christian, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, we're just Catholics. We're just there for, you know, if you want God, then come and we're here. They boxed us in, and we've done nothing to break out of that box. People don't know what are Seventh-day Adventists. What? What is this? They see the sign. I was only driving past, my Chiswick church. It's been redeveloped. Right on the barriers that have been put up, it says company ownership, Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I thought, you know what, that's probably, and this might sound a bit harsh, that's probably the biggest witness that we've ever done. People probably know now. Seventh-day Adventist right there. Of course, no, it's almost as if people think that there's just these group of people that gather for a funeral every Saturday. They always dress up on Saturday, they always go to the same church. Probably, they don't even know about this health message. They think that it must be backwards because they're dying all the time. Every week one of them is dead. Every week they're going to church with this person. And then they can't be bothered to come on Sunday. That's probably the world's view of our church because they don't know. They don't know. I remember when I was baptized, October 2010. I remember coming into the church expecting fireworks and receiving popcorn. Little things taking place, but nothing that anyone else can see outside of your own room. Nothing really. I used to think, but they said that this is God's actual church. And I read in the Bible about God's actual church, and then I look at my church and think, huh? What happened? Where are these people now? Where's the Pauls and the Peters and the Simon and the Jonas, and where are they? Nowhere to be found. If we were to rewrite the Bible today, Acts wouldn't be a book. If we were to rewrite the Bible today, Acts would not be a book. It would be a myth. Somewhere out there, people are witnessing. Somewhere out there's a good old faithful, Mark Finley. He'll do it. And we sit down there and we just pay our 3 ABN subscription fee and we think, oh, helping the gospel go to the world. One man is not going to finish this work. Do you know how I know? Because the only one that could died. And he's in heaven now. Yeah. Ministering on our behalf so that we can pick up where he left off. Let me illustrate it like this. I don't know if any of you guys, I'm finding this mic just a little bit too loud. I don't know if any of you guys have ever received a letter in the post. And on the front of the letter, like on the envelope, not in the letter, on the envelope it says important, red, exclamation mark, box, arrows pointing. It's almost 3D. Important. And you think, oh, this must be important. And then you open the letter. I've done this. I've done this. Open the letter and it says, congratulations! Yeah. You have just won £20,000. Yeah. I can hear it. It's just a letter. And I can hear it. Like, whoa! I've won 20,000. I remember running. Mom, guess what? Guess what I just won? I was like, no. What? I'm like, I won £20,000. She looks and she sees her name. She says, no, I've won £20,000. And they're like, okay, that can work. You won 20,000, cool. And remember, it says call this number now to receive your prize. I'm like, oh my days. Before we even called the number, we were sitting down from this. We had our pen and paper. We're like, Mom, I want an Apple computer. I didn't even have a computer at that point. Didn't even have a computer. I was the only one in my class that didn't have a computer. I wanted the best one. It's got £20,000. I can have one. I can have £1,000, right? I remember we made out a list, went well over 20,000, but we would deal with that afterwards. And we waited. Waited for this money to come. Send your credit card details so we can send you the money. What nice people. No problem. Send them the details. Sooner or later, £100 is missing from their account. That's not what it said on the letter. Now I want you to imagine that the same thing happened to you up until the point, just the beginning of the story. You get the letter that says important with all the design. And you look inside and it says, hey, you have won £20,000. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to throw it in the bin. You know this thing isn't real. It's not real. And so you throw it in the bin, you dash it, you rip it up, you're angry, you rip it up in loads of pieces, and you throw it and you miss the bin, and you just leave it, and then you go outside and you speak to your neighbor and they say, hey, guess what? I got this letter in the post that said I won 20,000. Like, oh, me too! I got the same letter. Did you throw it in the bin too? Yeah, I threw it in the bin. A week passes. You're outside talking to your neighbor again. Massive van pulls up. The lady from the house opposite you comes walking out, big smile. You've never even seen her walk before. She comes out walking. And they open the van, and you see like 4 beds come out. You see sofas. You see them wheel a little car out the back. You see all these toys. You see an Apple Mac computer. What are you going to think? Hold on. And you run over. Hey, what happened? She said, oh, I got this letter in the post. It said like important on the front. And I rang up and they said, hey, you won $20,000. And so I just bought everything straight away. And it worked. I know we're running back to the garbage bins. Get out the sellotape, start trying to put the thing back together. But then imagine this. Imagine another letter comes in the post. And it says important on the front. And you open it and you look inside and it says, last chance, claim your £20,000. What are you going to do now? You're going to call them up. But do you know why you're going to call them up? Because now you've seen that it works. Are you guys doing this? Yeah. Now you've seen that it works, so now you're going to call them. You don't want to miss out on what they just received. So you're going to call them and you're going to tell your neighbor, it's not true. Don't call them in case they call first. I'm going to call. And you expect to get those things. And the reason that you make that call the second time is because you've seen that it's worked for someone else. Let me illustrate it like this. How many of you are married here? None. A few. Okay, thank you. So imagine you're married. Men, imagine you're married. I'll use myself as an example. Now imagine my wife is pregnant. Imagine she's pregnant and she's just pregnant. Alright? Her head has gone down. She's just pregnant. She's just pregnant. She's like 2 months into the pregnancy, right? So we just kind of found out. And then so she's gone out shopping with one of her friends, and I'm out with some of my friends doing whatever, and then I receive a phone call from her friend. Dean! Like, yes, what's wrong? Like, Donna's going into labor. I'm like, get out of here, man. She just got pregnant. She's not going into labor. Don't you understand how it works? Cut the phone. Guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to go home and then rush to the hospital and expect her to see they're crying out. And the same thing, they call me after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. I'm like, stop calling me. I know. I'm not falling for that trick. I know she's not in labor. I know she's not. Do you know why I know? Because she's not due yet. She's not due. But guess what? Guess when I get that call at 8.5 months? Dean, Lord is going into labor. There's not even going to be a response on the phone. Go on. Running straight to the hospital. Do you know why I'm going to run to the hospital? Because now she's due. Now the time has come. The time that I've been waiting for, all the things that the signs have been pointing to, now it's here. And so now I'm going to do something about it. Because the time is now. If I choose to put it off for a month, first of all, I'm going to get beat. And second, I'm going to miss the birth of my child. I'm going to miss this amazing event. Are you with me? If we truly, truly believed that Jesus was who he says he is, and if we truly believe that he is going to do the things that he said he is going to do, then we would be doing something about that. We would. If we truly, truly believed, we'd be writing the next chapters of Acts. We'd be walking the streets with our Bibles in our bags. We'd be having church outside sometimes. We'd be running more than just prophecy seminars, but we'd be going to the people and meeting them where they are. We'd be doing things if we truly believe. And yet 99% of us in here are Adventists already. 99%. I counted, there's just under 100 of you. I'm assuming you have at least one visitor. 99% of us have already heard the gospel and are still doing nothing about it, really. Some of us, I know, some of us are faithful to that and we're doing something, but the majority of us, the Bible says, the wisest man that's ever lived, Solomon, says in Ecclesiastes 4 verse 5, I'm going to read it to you. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 5. The fool folds his hands together and eats his own flesh. The fool folds his hands together and what? Eats his own flesh. If someone's arms are folded, what message is their body language portraying? The most common answer would probably be idleness. When you see people just sitting down there with their arms folded, it generally tells you this person, no offense brother, it generally tells you that they're not really doing anything at this moment. They're just listening to a sermon, amen? They're just sitting. Generally when we're told someone is idle, that kind of picture does it. That's kind of what comes to mind. So the Bible is saying that the fool is the one that folds his arms and eats his own soul. In other words, this is what Solomon is saying. Idleness is suicide. Idleness is not just suicide, it's cannibalism. And the reason why it's the fool that's idle is because he's not destroying anyone but himself. Do you guys know that there's no way that you can slow down Jesus coming? Like even through our inaction, we can't slow it down. Because even if it's just one person acting, he's on his way. So all we can do is really speed it up. When we all kind of get kick-started, we can speed up, but we can never slow it down. Are you with me? Are you with me? But the fool, have mercy. The fool is the person that when the alarm is ringing, he's still sleeping. The fool is the person that when the alarm is ringing, he's still sleeping. The fool is the person who goes on a 200-mile journey and starts with an almost empty tank. The fool is the person who sees someone else drowning and complains that no one else is trying to save them. That's a fool. And the fool is on a mission. A Satan-driven mission to kill himself. That's what idleness is. That's what a lack of action does. That's what we would look like if there was no act. The fool folds his hands and eats his own flesh. So if idleness is suicide, then that tells me something about evangelism. It tells me that God has given us evangelism not only to save other people, but to save our souls. God has given us evangelism because we also need to be saved. Even in the very act of trying to save someone else. We need the gospel. Elder John touched on 7 reasons for evangelism. It's funny because they're right here in my notes. Told you we went to the same school. Number 1. We're going to just fly through them quickly because he's already touched them. Evangelism is God's means of reaching the lost. God doesn't say come to church and I'll bring the people. He says you go and bring them. I'm working behind the scenes but you go. Evangelism is God's way of reaching people that don't know Him yet. Evangelism is God's way of getting you in the center of the activity. Of getting you in a place not only where He can see you but where everyone else can watch you and can see the things that Jesus is doing in not only your life but their life. Evangelism is about getting you into action. Evangelism is God's means of spiritual growth. If you love me, feed my lambs. If you love me, feed my sheep. If you love me, show other people that you love me. And in showing, we looked at it this morning, it's a greater blessing to give than to receive. So let me ask you a question. Who's being blessed right now more? Me or you? Me! Because God is using me to bless you, so I get the greater blessing. When you go to share the gospel with someone else, even though they might be hearing it for the first time, you get the greater blessing. That's not just a tithe text. That's a real text. It's a Bible text. It's a greater blessing to help someone, because in helping someone, you receive more help than you ever gave them. Yeah. Number 4. Evangelism is God's way of unifying the church. Some of us might have thought that first we unify and then we go out. That's not what took place in the upper room. They didn't come together and sort out their problems and then go out. They came together and sorted out their problems because they were going out. If you have a church that continuously looks inwardly, it's only going to notice its own problems. But when the church looks outside at other people's problems and see that really we don't really have that many problems compared to what they have, then you'll see unity. Then you'll see one body working together with Christ at the head. Can you say amen? Amen. The 5th one. It brings joy to God's heart. You want to make God... Have you ever asked God, Lord, how was your day? Can you imagine His answer? For him, it was hard. It was really hard. I seen one lady today die of breast cancer. Alone. Just was there watching her as she paid the price for abusing her body. Or I was in Syria. I was walking with this little kid and then he just got blown up. I was walking in Fulham and I seen this old lady's house get robbed and she didn't really have any money. Can you imagine what God's day is like? And then He says, what, Fulham? There was one faithful young lady that after church she went out and she shared a book with someone. And that person read it and they started crying. Or Fulham, I was in California and I seen 300 people get baptized and that really brought joy to my heart. Can you imagine God's day? Evangelism is something that will bring joy to God's heart. When the coin is lost and it's found, guess what happened? He rejoices. When the sheep runs away and comes back, guess what happened? He rejoices. He says, when one sinner returns to the fold, there's joy in heaven. Zephaniah says this, that God sings. The special item was great, but God sings. If I ever get to hear that. God's singing. Evangelism brings joy to God's heart. Number 6 is God's way of finishing the work. Do what you want, but evangelism is God's appointed way of making, pushing even His Son to come back sooner. And finally, and this one I think is the one that I love the most, Evangelism is God's way of reuniting the family. Some of us have lost mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, even children, friends. Doing the work of Jesus means you get to see them again. Doing the work of Jesus means that one day, even sooner than if you hadn't done it, we'll meet. The tears won't be there anymore. The feeling, the grievances and the loss, it won't be there. We'll be together again. Evangelism is God's way of uniting the family. Now let me read you this quote as we close. But as it was in the days of Noah, and I think I preached about Noah the last time I was here. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of Christ. As men resist the Spirit of God, His Spirit will be less and less manifested in the earth. It will be a fearful time when the angels fold their wings and cease their watch care over those who have resisted the Spirit of God. It will then be too late for wrongs to be righted. There will be no more prayers to prevail in behalf of those that rejected, like the cities around us are filled with wickedness, and after the message of warning has been given to them that no words of peace will no longer be given. Christ is coming, she says, and God will laugh when the fear comes. But while probation continues, Christ is ever willing to help us resist evil. But oh, she says, the iniquity that is in the world, it is high time that we put on the whole armor, lest we drift down the current and be swallowed up with the bosom of destruction. A record is kept of how we treat the Spirit of God. Our characters are recorded in the books of heaven, as are our faces on photo plates here. So our character photos are in heaven, and by these records we shall be judged. May God help each and every one of us to do His whole duty and get ready for that which is before us. This is my prayer. She says that in the days of Noah, the angels folded their wings. The same inactivity that folding our arms resembles, the angels folded their wings and they sat back because there was nothing to do at that time. Do you know what happened in the day of Noah? In the days of Noah, do you know what took place? Thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people died. And it wasn't any fault of God or Noah, regardless of what that stupid movie might have told you. Wasn't their fault. Do you know why it wasn't their fault? Do you know why God was able to send the flood? Because Noah had been preaching for 120 years. Faithfully preaching and building his ark. One word here, one hammer blow here. Preaching and building, preaching and building. So then, when that time came, nothing else needed to be done. So all the millions of people that were lost, they couldn't say, hey, we didn't know, because they knew. What about the people now? What about the people outside this building now? They don't know. We don't have that excuse, we told you. We haven't told them. That's why Jesus can't come. If Noah didn't preach, the flood couldn't have come. But because he shared the things that God put on his heart, everyone had a chance to accept. And it doesn't matter if they did or not. That's not our problem. Don't step into the Holy Spirit's shoes. But what about the world? They don't know. Yeah, they might know right from wrong, but they don't know the saving message of Jesus Christ, and they have not seen it lived proactively in our lives. So we haven't got an excuse. We're not able to say to them, we told you. Have you guys read your Bibles? That was a question. Have you guys read your Bibles? Have you read the last book? Have you ever looked at Revelation 15, 16, and 17? Have you looked at the things that happen on earth just before Jesus comes? Have you seen that those that reject Him will be covered in a hard, painful boils? Have you seen that they won't be able to go into the waters because it will be covered? It will be like blood. Have you seen they won't even be able to drink? So they'll be constantly dehydrated because the water will be turned to blood. Have you seen that the sun will scorch unbelievers and burn their very skins? Have you seen that in Revelation chapter 15? Have you seen the things that are going to take place right before Jesus comes? Now tell me that you can look in the eyes of your neighbor and watch them going through that, and tell me you can feel, I've done everything I could. Because you'll be okay. You won't be being burnt. You won't have the sores. You will have the means of drink that God provides, but they won't. And yes, in a sense, they will deserve it. But will you be able to look at your neighbor and say, hey, well, I done everything I could so that you wouldn't be in that position. Not only did I share the word with you, but I lived the very word in your sight. Silence again. Tells me you're getting a little bit uncomfortable. I know why it says that. She read of a man journeying through a winter's day, through the deep, drifted snow. And the snow, the coldness gripped this man so much that he started to lose the will to live. The cold had captured him to the point where another step just didn't look like it was possible. Falls down on his knees, just trying to reach the next step. Falls flat on his face. Rolls over and looks up to the sky, looks at the snow covering down, knows that he's going to die because he can't do anything. Another man journeying through the snow. The cold grips him too. Every step he takes, he feels like all his vital powers have just been stripped away, like the next step again just seems impossible. Falls down to his knees, ready to fall down on his face. And as he's in that falling process, he hears a voice. Help me! Help me, I'm dying, help me, somebody, if anybody is there, help me. He gets up. The person is still crying, help me, help me. He listens to where the voice is coming from and he rushes in that direction. As he's walking, he almost stumbles upon a man nearly buried within snow. And he doesn't think twice to just reach down, grip this man, throw him on his shoulders, and he starts plowing through the snow till he gets to the very end of the road, till he gets to the place where it's not so cold anymore, where the snow isn't so high anymore, and he lays him down. And he looks at him, and the man is there panting heavily. He says, thank you. Thank you so much. You saved my life. You saved my life. It's at that moment, the man realized that in saving that other man, just saved himself. If he didn't hear that cry for help, if he didn't choose to do something about someone else's need, then he too would have died. But because he put someone else's needs before his, because he reached out and didn't just sing seeking the lost, but put it into practice, because he chose to do that, he didn't even realize that he himself was in the process of being saved. Evangelism is not just an outreach tool, it's very much an in-reach tool. It's God's way of saving our souls. And if we are not looking after other people, if we are not acting on the gospel, then we too will be lost. We'll be lost. There's no other way about it. No starless crowns in heaven. We've heard it all before. But do we believe that thing? I believe that we're approaching the time when the angels are once again about to fold their wings. At the moment it says they're in the four corners of the earth holding back the winds of strife, doing their job, but very soon their job will be finished. And church, Fulham, there is no way at a time when the angels are once again about to fold their wings that we can be found folding our hands. No way. We will be held accountable. If we are not actively sharing the gospel with other people, their blood is on our hands. People died for this gospel. People stood there and watched their wife and their children be hanged, seeing their husbands be beheaded, just because of this. People went to the ends of the very earth to find people that didn't yet know Jesus. Tell me that you're not able to go next door. Tell me that you haven't been called to do such a thing as to let someone else know that they're loved more than they could possibly imagine. To let someone else know that even though they haven't even reached the phileo stage, agape is constantly given out to them. And we always come to this moment. The moment when the Holy Spirit is saying, you're not doing enough. Some of us, He's saying, we're not doing anything. And we feel that urge. Man, I should do something. Maybe Jesus really is coming soon. Maybe it's not just a myth. Maybe I should do something. Do you know what happens after? We don't. We put it off. We wait like a week or a month, and then when that time comes, we don't really feel like we need to do anything again. We forgot the message. And nothing happens. Maybe one person, two people choose to do something about it. Well, when are you going to choose to do something about it? When are you going to unfold your arms? When are you going to throw away the fool tag? When are you going to stop killing yourself? When are you going to stop eating your own skin? That's only a choice that you can make. No amount of sermons, no pastor, no preacher can make that choice for you. You have to make that choice. And it doesn't matter if you don't know what to do. Are you with me? It doesn't matter if you don't know what gift you have. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. One thing matters. Fulham SDA Church. Do you love Jesus? Fulham SDA Church, do you love Jesus? Yes. Do you love Jesus? Yes. Then feed His sheep. Feed His sheep. How many of you today want to give yourself to ministry? You all said you love Jesus. How many of you today want to act? How many of you today want to do something about this thing that this person that you say you love? Fulham SDA Church. Yes. If you love Jesus, if you truly love Him, and if you are willing to spend eternity with that man, if you love Him the way you tell your children you love Him, if you really, really love that man, then feed His sheep. Amen? Amen. Feed His sheep. Amen. Love Him and feed them. Feed His sheep. Amen? Amen. If you love Him, then feed His sheep. Amen. Amen. Amen.